Now as we start our program, this is our 8th annual event, and we're going to go alphabetically. And DeAmber and Chanelle, would you come up? These are young ladies that will be presenting on behalf of their father. On my right, please, girls. And then I'll get out of the way. These young ladies are going to speak about their father, and then Heather and I will present them a green lifetime jacket and a plaque to present to their dad.
First of all, we have always been blessed with our last name beginning with an A, which means normally we get to be first in line, and now we're first to introduce.
Trying to decide what to say was very hard for us. Not that our father doesn't have any redeeming qualities, but what do you say? You already know about his refereeing abilities and his great statistics, so we decided to tell you what it was like growing up with our father as a referee.
After watching him referee for several years, after I moved out of the house, I realized that my father refereed a lot like he fathered us. You have to have a lot of patience dealing with all the coaches yelling at you all the time, just like our father had a tough time dealing with her. There were many times when coaches argued with Dad. He just shook his head. He wasn't changing the call, nor could he hear them. He didn't have his hearing aids in. Growing up with our dad did really have a lot of patience in the family. Wouldn't you if you lived in a house with 3 girls? Sometimes we often wondered if that wasn't why he really liked refereeing so much. Just for some time with the boys. There were many times that we had tried his patience, but he never showed any stress, a lot like watching him work on the wrestling mat.
Obviously, he has knowledge of the sport of wrestling, but in our eyes, he has knowledge about everything. Just ask our mom. She loved to say, go ask your dad. There have been many times that someone argued with our dad. He just shook his head. When they got out of line, he would say, okay, that's 1. And 2 and 3 would soon follow, and then there were repercussions. This little technique was used a lot at home, too. I was always so proud that my daddy had the knowledge and patience to deal with these specific situations. He taught us useful things around the house, too, like how to put down wood floors, how to patch the walls and sand and paint. That came in really handy a couple of months ago when my boys got a little rowdy in the basement.
Dad was very trusting with us. He let us know that he had faith in us to complete any task at hand, like the time he trusted both of us to stain the baseboards. He gave one of us a mitt and the other one a rag to wipe the excess. He came back a little while later to a bit of a mess. The boards were done. However, getting the stain out of our hair and ears, fingers, was a little messy. Watching Dad work through the years, we have made many friends throughout the program. For our mom, it was the wives to sit with through the long days in the smelly gymnasium. For DeAmber, it was playing under the bleachers with her buddies. And for me, it was taking my notebook, critiquing every little mistake that the referees made, and letting them know about it later. The friends we have made throughout the years are still around, and a lot of them are here tonight supporting my dad and my Uncle Terry.
Our dad is a true role model. We have watched him through the years work really hard to provide for our family and to be the kind of person that everyone wants to meet. Our mom and dad would take us to church every Sunday, even though most Sundays during wrestling season he didn't have a voice to sing the hymns, and he caught a lot of elbows to the ribs for falling asleep. I have watched a lot of people rely on my father for advice and guidance throughout the years. Growing up, we never wanted to do anything to disappoint our parents.
Sometimes the devil got to me, though.
It is such a great honor to come up here and get to tell you about the most wonderful father, husband, and referee you'll ever meet. Thank you for allowing us a few minutes of your time. And Daddy, we're so proud to be your daughters. Introducing Larry Alley.
Thank you, girls. This is truly an honor, and I just want to join with the others in the class of 2015 to thank the Hall of Fame, the nominating committee, and the selection committee for this award. And then you look out over this crowd, 300 people here. It's amazing to have so many friends and family here, and I just want to say thank you for this event. You know, reviewing those in previous Hall of Fame brings back a lot of memories and friendships. My first memory of wrestling was we were watching the news on Saturday night, 1960, and they announced on the news that Douglas had won the state championship. And about that time, Dad and a group of about 4 or 5 others started the Kansas Kids Wrestling Program here in Kansas. And I'm proud to say that in 2004, that group, 4 or 5 individuals, were inducted into the Hall of Fame. So that was great. That was the first one here, I think. You know, growing up, Terry, David, and I had our best matches on the living room floor. And before we graduated, all of the carpet was wore out in the center of that floor. So we had to, I could say that I taught Terry and David everything they know, but the truth is they were much better wrestlers than I was. Both of them were state champions. Both of them wrestled in college, and both of them wrestled in the national championship tournament. Both of them, they had a lot of victories. David went to Central State, and he was on the national championship team. But it was Terry, I think, that gave me the best advice. He said, if you can't wrestle, coach. And if you can't coach, you can always officiate. Another group I'd like to thank tonight, and I think all of you spouses in here will relate to that, and that's the wrestling widows. You're the ones that stay home in the evenings while it allows us to go out and practice this great sport of wrestling. And you know, we go from the weekend from December to March, and you take care of the home front. So thank you very much. I also like to thank like all the wrestling widows and the families that go along with that. But I'd especially like to thank my wrestling widow, Sandra, for putting up with me for 42 years. Looking back, there's always people that help you in this event, in this sport. And I had the pleasure and the good fortune to have 3 mentors, and they helped me tremendously. Those 3 are Eldon Zimmelman, Bryce Roderick, and late George Jackson. Those were not only great officials, they worked multiple state tournaments, they worked the state tournament, the Grand State Tournament, they worked national tournaments, but they were also great friends, and I can't say more than thank you guys. I appreciate all your help that you gave me for that. You know, working with these officials and others gave me a deep understanding of the sport of wrestling, and it created a friendship that no other sport is like this friendship. You know, I was fortunate to work the tournaments out in western Kansas 3 or 4 times a year, and so a group of us officials would get together and drive, you know, 4 or 5 hours out there, and you got a lot of stories that can be told. I'm not going to tell those tonight, but a lot of stories are told, but you do get a lot of friendships from those. But I had a lot of friends that did that, and I'd like to mention those. I enjoyed the travel time with Ron Furman, Howard Meade, Mark Richards, Mike Martinez, D. Guard, and for the last 20 years, my Highway Patrolman friend, Mark Wright. You know, at the end of the year, you always end up with a state tournament. And the state tournament brings teams from all over the state. They also bring officials from all over the state, and you get to meet them, and you probably only see them once or twice a year. And for that, I'm truly grateful that I had that opportunity. And I remember working with a lot of the Hall of Fame class of 2015, and I could tell you a lot of stories, but thank goodness time doesn't allow me to do that. I have a lot of respect for coaches. They work very hard during the year to practice. They work to bring your kids to the tournaments and the duels, and they work very hard. And I'd always look forward to going to the different tournaments and working with the different coaches. But one of the best coaches that I think is a Hall of Fame member, elected. I'm not sure what year he was elected, but that was Rocky Welton. And Rocky, if you've ever worked for Rocky, you know he's one of the most vocal coaches. He also will give you his opinion in the corner. But after the match, he always had a smile on his face, he always had a handshake for you, and he always says thank you for working there. My last tournament in Garden City, Rocky was sitting across the gym. And I looked over there, his grandson was wrestling, so he was there as a spectator. I saw Rocky lean over to his wife. His wife said something to him, and Rocky gets up and starts his way around the gym. Of course, he can't go very fast, but everybody wants to say hello to Rocky. He gets over to me, has a big smile, has a handshake. He says, "My wife told me your name, but I can't remember it, but I want to come over and say hello." And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what this wrestling friendship is all about. That was a great, great moment. In closing, I want to say thank you to Derby High School for hosting this wonderful event. Thank you to Coach Gonzalez and Heather Wilson. You guys have done a great job, and I think we need another round of applause for them. Thank you very much. Again, I'd like to say thank you to the selection committee. Thank you to the National Hall of Fame. And I'd just like to thank you. This is a tremendous honor, and I do appreciate it, but it's doubly exciting and memorable to me to go in the same year as my brother Terry and follow in my footsteps in my dad Lawrence. And I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to serve this great sport of wrestling for 40 years. Thank you very much.
Heather will present to you. Coach, come on around, Heather, with the camera. He's going to sign. Heather, come over that side. That way they get to the camera. Presenting the Hall of Fame plaque, Heather Wilson, to Larry Alley. Okay. And then the daughters will present their father with the jacket. Heather, if you'll hold the plaque. Coach, if you'll take off your dress jacket. And the girls are going to help you with the honorary, and the only people who get to wear these are the national recognition inductees. Ladies and gentlemen, our newest member.
Everybody has to hug their announcers.
Easy to do, man.